Welcome back. We are Gentlemen United, and you are in the man cave. Taking a knee. Is it peaceful protest or disrespectful behavior? First, I'm going to start with a warning. I'm going to make generalizations. I am fully aware that there is no attribute you can apply equally without exception to all people of any race, religion, gender, and have it be accurate. Look, I'm not a college professor. This isn't a thesis. And if you're watching this, I'm going to assume that you understand this fact and that generalizations represent a large enough group to give it some degree of credibility, but that there are always exceptions. For those who don't agree or can't understand that, this is your trigger warning to go to the next YouTube clip. This will be too much for you to handle. Okay, with that out the way, back to the original question. Is taking a knee peaceful protest or disrespectful behavior? Now, the one thing that unites us, regardless of race, is sports. We may argue over teams, stats, and players, but football fans are football fans. Basketball fans are basketball fans. Depending on where you live, sports may be the only thing that truly unifies people in your area across racial boundaries. Now, there are those who would prefer to keep the discussion of politics out of sports. The players, coaches, owners, they're not politicians. They just want to enjoy their sport and support their teams. The fight we're seeing now, peaceful protest versus disrespectful behavior, is really about avoiding the discussion of the real issue. The fact that sports is a place where both races unify is also the perfect place to start a conversation on issues that affect both races. Now, the first thing I notice is that the media is keeping the focus on the feelings associated with whether you agree or disagree with the way in which NFL players and other athletes have chosen to protest. The main focus is on who is doing it, who is it representing or disrespecting, who is supporting it and who isn't. The focus continues to remain on the who's. The reason why I think that the conversation is deliberately stalled at the who stage is because the next conversation forces both sides to reveal their innermost beliefs about the other race. This would create an uncomfortable scene with friends that you go to the game with, people that you're in football pools with at the office, your friend's boyfriend of the other race, or maybe even your boss. The only way to get people to acknowledge and understand your position, black or white, is for them to be able to hear you. Now, will everyone hear you? No. No matter what you say or do, some people will just never hear you, for whatever reasons. And spinning your wheels trying to break the magical code on how do I get everyone to hear me? That's an utter waste of time. It's never going to happen. If your goal is to get everyone to hear you, you're living in a fantasy land with Disney endings. There are virtually no issues that all people agree on. Even if we were invaded today by aliens from another planet who came to eradicate the planet of all human vermin, there'd still be some people who'd side with the aliens. So reality check. You need to decide what is more important, solving the problem or wanting everyone to hear and agree with you. One has potential, but the urge to chase after universal understanding, while it sounds great, is completely unrealistic. Getting the right people to hear you is what matters. Those that can affect change, whether it's in your immediate circle of influence or your local representatives. The next obstacle is that we all see these issues through different prisms. The subjects are police officers and black people, and more particularly, black men and boys. Yes, there are exceptions, but let's not sidetrack this by splitting hairs. Let's talk about what the real issue is here. The prism through which white people see the police is the one where they see men and women with families who put their lives on the line for wages that don't reflect the danger they face every day. They keep our neighborhoods and our families safe. My own brother was a federal police officer for 13 years and led a drug squad, so I understand what he sacrificed every day to serve and protect his community. The prism through which black people see the police is completely different. Police are viewed as armed stormtroopers wearing armor who can and do stop you at will and decide based on how their day is going and their own personal belief system whether you are a threat. There are no step-by-step instructions that you can follow that will guarantee that you won't be shot. Every interaction with the police might mean that you won't see your children again. It is as random as the patterns on a snowflake. Every time your teenage son leaves the house, you think, will I ever see him again? Let that sink in for a moment. Now, white people, generalizing again, may be able to understand why black people see the police the way they do, but it becomes an intellectual conversation, one of law, due process, and following procedure. There are often no visceral emotional reactions that make the issue as real to them as it does for black people. Main reason why is because they have no real life experience to reflect on that makes it real in the same way as it is for black people. It simply means that they are too far away from the reality black people face to have an emotional attachment to it. It's neither good nor bad, it just is. The lack of an emotional attachment to any issue and being far enough away from it oftentimes makes the solution appear simple. Black people, generalizing again, may be able to understand why white people see the police as public servants there to serve and protect. But that too becomes an intellectual conversation. The real life experiences don't reflect that reality. In addition, the fear that comes with any interaction with the police for many black people in that instant surfaces fear from a community that has been in hyper-vigilance mode for 4 centuries. That hyper-vigilance has been passed down from father to son, mother to daughter, for 20 generations. The media's 24/7 news cycle that constantly pumps that fear into our homes through your TVs and tablets, laptops, and smartphones keeps feeding that hypervigilance. The other prism we avoid is the one we see each other through. How do we see each other? This is the next obstacle to having a meaningful dialogue. The obstacle to being able to actually hear each other. Generalizing again, black people view white people through the prism of unearned privilege and perpetrators of these issues. If they aren't perpetrating, they're viewed as silently supporting through inaction or deflection. Sort of the same way we accuse Muslim clerics of staying silent while suicide bombers from their own congregations kill innocent people. What black people often don't see are the invisible white people. The ones that can't afford the rent. The ones that are buried in debt because they had a life-saving medical procedure but no insurance. The ones who lost their jobs and have been out of work for a year. The fiction is that all white people are rich, or that riches are at their fingertips should they decide to reach out and take it. White people, again generalizing, view black people through their prism as whiners, lazy, living off of taxpayers' dollars, contributing nothing to society, butts hanging out, covered in tattoos, gang banging, doing and dealing drugs, having too many babies out of wedlock, and the men won't support their kids. What white people often don't see are the invisible black people, like me. I don't fit those stereotypes, and many don't, but I've been told oftentimes that, well, you're not really black. What they're really saying, or trying to say, is that I don't fit the image of black men that they're accustomed to seeing in the media. But that image is what sells. Black men who don't fit those images are invisible. First thing is understanding that when you hold on to your prisms and rush to judgment because, well, it feels good to be self-righteous, we stay right where we are, fighting over the same issues. You want politics out of sports? I hate to say it, but it's too late for that. But I say, if you can put that level of effort it takes into memorizing players' stats and betting on teams in pools and watching every game of the season, no matter what happens, you already have what it takes to care enough about your black and or white friends to see them for who they really are. So what about the original question? Peaceful protest or disrespectful behavior? Well, the answer is it's both. If this kneeling during the anthem wasn't happening, would you give the issue a second thought? Would we even be talking about it right now? If you really want it to go away, and my guess is that everyone would like to not have to jar people to get their attention, put down the prism for a minute. You don't have to tell anybody you did it. Or we can go on being sheeple, that the media would love us to remain, watch games, buy tickets, increase ratings. As disrespectful as Charlottesville, Virginia was, the protesters there were protected by the First Amendment. As disrespectful as those kneeling might be, they too are protected by the First Amendment. Now, you may not like their message, you may not like the way they are delivering it, but it doesn't make it wrong according to the Constitution. And besides, protesting anything in a way that people like gets no attention and nothing gets done. You can't protest in a way that people are going to say, hey, that's great, and they're going to want to jump on board. You're not going to get any attention that way. You don't have to like it, but if you really do care, you can do something about it. That's all I have to say about this topic. Looking forward to your feedback and your thoughts, agree or disagree. Some people will be rubbed the wrong way. So be it, sometimes you got to put down a flag and have a position. And my position is anybody who starts off with those leftists or those alt-right people, those are, in my opinion, those are sheeple. Those people have bought into the whole media game, and they are allowing themselves to be misdirected and led around by the nose. If you truly care about your friends, whether they're black or whether they're white, and I mean this for both races, you will care about them as people, and you'll look at the world through their prism, even if you don't have to tell anybody else about it. You don't have to announce it to the whole world. Take a minute and try it out. What's the worst that can happen? You can always go back to where you were 5 minutes ago. Anyways, thanks for joining us in the Man Cave, and we'll see you soon. If you enjoyed the show and want to see more, join our Facebook page called The Man Cave by Gentlemen United. All of our shows, tons of additional content, and invitations to future shows are posted there. You can add to the conversation and suggest future discussion topics. Please like, comment, share, and most of all, subscribe by clicking the Gentlemen United icon. I promise it's free. Thanks again for joining us in The Man Cave.
Enjoyed the show? Like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for joining us in The Man Cave.